Guys, some stupid sketch show guy here with another prehistoric figure review, and today's prehistoric figure review is not of the Toyway Utahraptor. Although that figure did win the community vote for the 20th episode special, I got a very special figure from a faithful trip to Target, and I thought it was very important to review it because I was really excited to get this figure, and well, what other reason is there to review a figure other than I'm excited to talk about it? And that figure is the Mattel Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Attack Pack Troodon. So let's get into it. So first up, as always, we have the paint job, and the paint job is loosely based off the very popular Telltale Jurassic Park the Game Troodon. However, it's only loosely based, likely to appeal more to kids, and it suffers for it. The parts of the Troodon that it actually takes from the game, such as the black quills and the gray overall color scheme, are done great, to near perfection even. However, the parts that it does differently are, in my opinion, inferior, such as the pinkish tint on the body, as the game has a intimidating red. The eyes are done differently. Instead of a intimidating glowing white, they're instead a mild yellow with a black pupil, which isn't bad, but it just looks cooler when it's just a pale pupilless eye. As well as that, there's no pink on the face in the Telltale version. It's mostly gray. However, this version has a pink lower jaw, as well as pinkish stuff on the face. And while it's definitely applied decently, I kind of just prefer the overall color scheme of the Telltale Troodon. As well as that, there aren't nearly as many stripes on this part of the figure as there are in the Telltale version, and I think it makes it look blander. However, the parts that it does take from the Telltale game and the overall application of the other parts are still done semi-decently, and I can't fault it for deciding to go differently. The overall paint job, when you remove the Telltale Troodon from the equation, is solid enough, so I will give it a 7 out of 10. Next up is the Posability, which, for an attack pack figure, is surprisingly good. We'll start with this neutral pose, and then you can change it. You can change it to this sort of upright pose. You can open its mouth and make it sort of look like it's roaring in victory. You can lower the head a little bit, and now it looks like it's ready to pounce on something and kill it. There's a lot of small things that you can really do to really make it look cool and vicious. You can make it go high, you can make it go neutral, you can make it go low. You can do all of this thanks to the fact that you can elevate and de-elevate the levels that the figure can stand in, and you can also do this with the neck. The neck is also very important when it comes to posability. You can make it stand straight up like this, or you can make it go low like this, and that leads to a lot more possibilities. And I think that's awesome for a main figure, or any articulated figure in general. As well as that, its stability is incredible. As you can see, as I'm doing all these poses, the figure doesn't really seem to have much struggle to keep standing. Of course, it wiggles from time to time, but for the most part, it's very sturdy, and that's something that the Amber Collection figures cannot claim to have, as those figures are super wobbly and require things like bases to stand. This doesn't and can achieve about as many poses, and I think that's really good for a mainline figure. So for that, I would give Posability a strong 8.5 out of 10. Next up is the Articulation, and the Articulation is something that I have to describe in a very repetitive manner, because a lot of the articulation on this figure is smooth. You got this sort of neck joint that really moves smoothly from this all the way down to this with limited resistance. You got these arms and legs that spin in a 360 manner in a very nice, smooth manner. Of course, it is a little annoying having to get it around like this and spin in a 360 motion, but I doubt that you're going to need to spin it that far to create awesome poses like I showed before. The jaw is very nice and easy to open, and while this tail joint is definitely by far my least favorite, as I've never been a fan of spinning tail joints, it also moves very nicely. It is a little stiff, but it moves semi-decently enough. But the rest of these joints move very satisfyingly, and it's great to move them around. I can't get enough of moving these things around, and it's awesome. And I think that Mattel really knocked it out of the park when it comes to how this figure articulates. Kids and adults and teenagers like me all can enjoy and appreciate the articulation on this lovely figure. And for that, the Articulation gets an 8 out of 10. And lastly, we got the detail. And the detail is a bit hit or miss depending on where you're talking. If we're talking about the face, it's very smooth and I don't really get to pick up much detail. Besides maybe on the lower jaw, the detail isn't the most prevalent, at least as much as I wish. But if you get past this pretty bad neck seam, you get to see a lot more scaling on the throat and the neck, and it looks way better. You get to see all the little veins, you get to see a lot of really cool stuff, but the coolest stuff is on the base body. On the base body, you get to see every little scale, and it looks like a real reptile. Real reptiles almost never don't have scales, and this figure certainly doesn't on the base body. You can see every single one on here, and it looks like a real reptile. You can really feel it and be like, whoo, that is some reptilian skin. And I really like it. It is a shame, though, that this isn't shown on the rest of the body, like the tail, the head, and the neck to a certain extent. But on the body, oh, is it great. And overall, I would give the detail because of this a solid 7.5 out of 10. So now time for my final thoughts. The paint job, while loosely based on the Telltale game, does it in an inferior style. The posability is incredible, especially for the price of this figure. The articulation is incredibly smooth and satisfying, and the detail is hit or miss, but can definitely have its shining moments. And for that, I give the Mattel Camp Cretaceous Attack Pack Troodon a 7 3/4 out of 10. I do recommend this figure, even if it didn't get the sketchy seal of approval. It's a great figure, worth the price. So, hope you guys enjoyed this prehistoric figure review. Comment down what other figures I should review, and don't worry, I will get around to the Toyway Utah Raptor next time. So until then, see you later.